At the end of the concert, like
Yeah.
this man jumped on the stage and told us so many beautiful stuff, about our music, and and
Nice.
and he was actually, like wearing this black leather jacket, with the white hair and long hair.
What?
And then we realized, oh, this guy is Jimmy Page, like talking not to
Oh,
us.
wow.
It was
Jimmy.
crazy, man.
On behalf of the Bombay Jazz Club and Music for Good, we'd like to introduce two fantastic musicians we've worked with in the past. They made an incredible impression last year at the Bandra Base. We'd like to welcome now Tanya and Paolo from Seven Eyes.
Of the morning sun, she says, awake from the blue.
The first way I got to know about you folks was your name Seven Eyes, and I thought it had some kind of numerological or mystical implication. What made you choose the name Seven Eyes to represent the work you do?
Well, if it's an interesting. A lot of people ask this question, and I don't know if you've ever tried to find a band name, but we've struggled for a very long time to find a name,
Not so
and
long.
well, we struggled for it was like a good couple of months, and basically everything that we were drawn to was taken, and we were actually in London, and we were doing a group meditation, weren't we? It was like a actually an ashram in London, and the goal of the meditation was just to surrender. So I was really just about, I had this name in mind. I just need to surrender, let the name go. It will come. And lo and behold, that day, the name Seven Eyes popped into my head for some reason, and I didn't know why. I Googled it, and then I found some information about William Blake, who had written
Huh.
about seven eyes. And the seven eyes are actually mentioned in the Old Testament. And so seven eyes, as illustrated by Blake, represent these seven angels that guide you on your journey. And so, because he illustrated the Book of Job, which is a story about a man who goes through, the perils, and he goes through this big long journey, and these seven eyes were these guiding forces of well, these angels really. And then I read another thing that linked the seven eyes to the seven chakras in the subtle body. So, it just did jump out at me in my mind. And then when I was reading this, I thought, gosh, this is interesting. And then I said to Paolo, seven eyes. And he immediately was like, you were just like,
That's it.
yeah, that's.
Also because Tanya was born in Europe, and but she's grown up in India. So she studied a bit of the Indian music as well as the Western music. And for me, I am from Brazil, and I moved to Europe 10 years ago to study the classical music. So we have all these elements to connect the continents. No, we have like 7 continents as well,
Oh.
and we like to build bridges and to connect cultures, through music. So naturally, our music comes out in that way that we compose, we create, because we have the elements of all these different countries. So it's a way to see music in different perceptions, with different eyes.
The music you perform is on such a broad canvas, drawing on so many different traditions. If I say so myself, it's one of the most beautifully blended forms of music I've ever heard. There's an authenticity about everything you do, like food that's been cooked slow and proper. So maybe you could talk about your Indian connection and how your musical compositions transcend genres including jazz, Sufi, Brazilian, Hindustani classical, and so much more. How have you been able to bring your influences together so organically and so magnificently?
I think, as Paolo said, we both come with this experience of having lived in various countries and having sort of embedded the music of those places in our education and in our own cultural experience. And so when we came to write together and compose together, it just was quite a natural sort of amalgamation of all of these different influences. So it happened quite naturally. I wouldn't say that we thought consciously, like, let's bring this influence and let's fuse this and that. It was really just a sort of coming together of who we are as artists and exploring how we can tell stories. And I think that's sort of how Seven Eyes found its identity as well. It's really a sort of marriage between Paolo and myself and the music that just that we bounce off each other.
The literary marriage, you know.
Yeah, and then of course we literally got married as well. But yeah, Seven Eyes is our sort of
No, would love
marriage
to
thing.
give you like one formula for that, you know, what we do. But even for us, it's just so it comes natural in that way. So we can't put in the paper writing the items of the elements, because we see that there is a lot of fusion and merging musicians that like to bring different type of music together. However, we can also I don't know if we really enjoy calling our music as world music or fusion music, because we have specific elements of music from different but specific countries as well, and different but specific languages that we lived that culture, we lived that music, we learned and studied that. So that's the way we do music. It's the way we see music. It's our creative process. It comes natural in that way.
We held out our hands, walked around a sacred fire. Who would have known the flames would only get higher, 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 and higher.
Tanya, you seem to have gone to an incredible depth, like any other Indian singer from the tradition. Maybe you could talk about how you were able to imbibe so much of the musical values and aesthetics, and to be able to express it so naturally.
Well, thank you so much, Dee. So I grew up in Himachal Pradesh. I spent from the age of 6 till 9. I was living in Dharamsala, which is north of India, and I was at school there. So I learnt Hindi there, and we studied Indian classical music. We woke up every morning singing bhajans, and it was a sort of all cultural immersive experience, and as well as just going to normal, attending school and as any other kid would. But that really left a very strong impression on me. And then when we came back to the UK, my family is very musical anyway, so I always grew up singing in harmony with my sisters, and so music was always part of the natural fabric of our house. And I guess I started getting an interest in Hindustani classical music when I got a bit older, around 16, 17, and I got the chance to study at a music academy in Thane, near Mumbai. It was a music academy run by, I guess it was set up by P.K. Salver, and it's like a sort of music academy that involve arts, dance, and music therapy in the umbrella of Hindustani classical music. So I started learning music therapy, actually, and that was my way into Hindustani classical music, because it was exploring how music affects us subtly and how it affects our mental, physical, emotional well-being. And that's when I just got completely in love with it, because I just resonated with it, and I could feel the benefits of it. Like, I really enjoy listening to Indian classical music. It just makes me feel good. And so I was listening to a lot of music during those years, from my late teens into my 20s. I was just listening to, Pandit Ajoy Chakrabarti and Rashid Khan Saab, and all of these great singers of the Indian subcontinent. And so I think when you listen a lot to a lot of music, it starts to become your own language in a way. Like, you know, if I was going to listen to Miles Davis every day
Oh yeah.
for 10 years, I'm going to understand his language a little bit, you know? So I think that's how,
Yes. There you go.
yeah, it just happened like that. And then I found some teachers throughout my years of training. I found teachers in India, but also in the UK, and I just kept up with my classes with them.
É a luz do som que o lorum soprou, trouxe cor e dom, petrificou. Terra Santa eu nunca existiu, a floresceu ao céu do Brasil. Os espirituais são sempre, dessa história vai saber, vai no também outra.
Paolo, your guitar skills are incredible. You play like one just turns on the tap and water comes out, you know, a steady stream of gorgeous music. How did you get your musical journey going?
For me, the thing that influenced me the most, I think, is the crossover. What is the connection between one style and the other? You know, is the border in between styles and beyond. This is what moves me to create and to play my music. Of course, I appreciate so much like to have a purely classical style. For example, I studied the Western classical guitar, and I came to Europe for that. Although as Brazilian and you as musician, you know the importance of Brazilian music and how we express ourselves musically. For me is like me as a Brazilian, what I'm from my mom's side, I am Syrian and Lebanese, and from my dad's side, I am African, Italian, Portuguese, indigenous. So I am all this blend. So
Wow.
for me, the blend is very important. This is what makes me feel that I am making something creative. But one very important element for me is of course the rhythmical, as we have so much influence of the Nigerian and the Yoruba and the African in general, the African music, no, like in Brazil, and that further on the process of the colonization of the Europeans, we develop our own styles based on the rhythm of the African music. I would say like musically, the rhythm for me it's essential, and when I play, I am within myself, you know, like totally rhythmically pulsating music in that way, and of course trying to break the borders, because I don't like to have like anything holding myself, and that's what make me really create and play in the way you saw. Thank you for your comment.
Each of you have studied so much musical traditions, techniques, and ideas. What advice would you give to some younger musicians? How do you focus on something you could really build your musical expression on without getting sidetracked by chasing after so many different possibilities?
If you have the response, please tell us, because I think this one is a tricky one. But what I would say is that there is nothing wrong in being confused, and when you are starting in music, because the possibilities are endless, and as a beginner, you need to explore and understand all different styles. Not all of it, but all of them. But you need to explore a bit and see what really moves you. And for that, you need to play and try and learn. And like this, you build a vocabulary, a repertoire that you can communicate to other musicians further down. So I believe it's important. The only thing that my advice would be, don't give up, because this is the most important thing. Whatever you do, whatever you choose, which way you did, you know, like you chose in music or music chose you, please just go for it. Go and do your thing, because everyone is able to reach a higher level if you are fully dedicated to it.
Don't lose hope. They are waking, awaking up. Just as you thought you lost all of your hope.
What are some of the important ideas that you impart to your students?
We work with sound. Music is sound, and we need to work on our sound. This is for me essential. And doesn't matter in your position, the posture of your body, of the nails, if they are long, if they are not filed, well, shaped, or if the strings are old, or try to find your sound, because your sound, yours is your personal identity in music. And this is what I try to find my student sounds and work on their sound, refining their sound, and help them understanding their sound. This is, for me, what is the most important thing. Of course, you have, so much to work and so many different subjects to explore. But I would say this is the main thing.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I would say I do the same thing. I try and get my students to find their voice, because you can use all sorts of different genres in music to explore what the voice can do technically, but ultimately it's about finding your instrument and your place with that, and feeling comfortable with that, feeling able to fully express emotions. And just going back to your previous question also about being able to tell stories with your instrument, to communicate. That's what it is, what is it that you want to communicate. And that's something, for young musicians, I think spending time thinking about what is it I have to say, what is it that I want to communicate, and how are you going to communicate that. I think that's a really important aspect of also being a student, finding your voice, finding your way to express your story.
And not only as a student, no,
That
like
is
for
so simple.
any musician is any musician is like that for us on our journey, as well as when we are on the studio, we are exploring the sound. We are trying to understand which sound we want for that song or for that album. On our second album, we got a very different sound compared to the first one, and they are two different things, like the sound of the guitar, of the voice, but also the whole body of the work. If you listen to Sense's album, you will get a whole different feel of compared to the first one.
You came to Bander Bass on 2 occasions. Great shows. Can you talk a little about that experience?
Yeah, it's an amazing experience for us as well. A lot of the songs that we play in our repertoire when we are playing in the Indian subcontinent are the sort of old as gold songs. Mehdi Hassan's are just some of those old Bollywood songs as well, like Lag Jagale, and those classics that everyone knows. And I've been in situations where I've been in a cab in Mumbai just completely enjoying the conversation I'm having with the driver, talking about Lata Mangeshkar, and we're going through all the songs and just having a laugh. And that's the bridge. That music has become this means we get to meet extraordinary people because of music. Like, music has brought us to India or to Pakistan, and we're actually just singing. So one of the most favorite gigs that we ever did was, for me, when we were singing Man Kunta Mola to an audience in Lahore. And at one point, the whole audience just say, Ali, because we're singing in praise of Hazrat Ali. And it was just pure devotion. It was a moment of collective devotion. And I'd just never I'd never imagined that I would be able to witness that, you know, coming from England to Lahore and then just really singing the praise of Hazrat Ali to his devotees. You know, it was just such a moving and powerful experience. And the energy in the room was also so heightened because
Wow.
it was just...
It was our first time performing there also.
it was our first time performing there, and it was just an extraordinary atmosphere.
Can you tell us a little about how you want your audiences to regard you, your relationship with your listeners, and building bridges? Can you tell us more about your musical goals?
Yeah, I think the good stuff to be diverse is that you can play in different ambient for different audiences, for different people from different countries, right? This is really cool. Sometimes we play in a jazz venue, and sometimes we play in a wedding, of a Sufi wedding, for example, that we need to play only qawwalis and ghazals, and that's all good. But if we are in Brazil, for example, it doesn't really work. So so we need to play Brazilian music, right? So and Tanya sings so well, like also in different languages. So we did already songs in Spanish and Portuguese, and it worked so well. And people, in the same way that they like to listen to her Urdu and Hindi. They also like to hear her Portuguese as well in Brazil. We have a big following there. So
Wow.
I don't. It's complicated to say, look, to put ourselves in one box only, right? Because we like to play this different type of music, and to call that world music, I wouldn't say, because what is world music? World music is anything and nothing at the same time, and it's neither jazz and it's a song. I would say, like, sometimes it sounds really pop, but it comes naturally like that as well. And we are artists exploring and getting to know ourselves with this exploration of this journey that we are going in. So we are Seven Eyes.
You guys recently did this garden concert that was very successful. Can you talk about it?
Yeah, it was. So every year we do a concert in our garden since we moved out here to Geneva. So since 2018, we've been doing these garden shows, and we were actually able to have a live audience in Geneva last summer, because we can have, I think the rules were you can have 150 people, but we couldn't because of the rain. So it just rained, or it was forecast to rain on the day of the concert, and we usually have everyone sitting on carpets outside, and we weren't able to have a canopy. So what happened was we ended up doing it in a friend's house, and so we did have a live audience in the house, and we also invited some wonderful artists to play alongside us. So we had Ken Zuckerman, he plays so beautifully, and we also brought a tabla player who is from Pune, but he's now based in Rome. Do I want to say Rome?
Yes.
So we flew him out from Italy. And then we had a wonderful Swiss musician, Alexandre Stallier, on keys. He's just one of those all-rounder multi-instrumentalists. So we had a really good vibe between us, and it was just a thrill to be able to perform to a live audience again.
Can you tell us about where your audience can find your music?
Well, I was just about to say that we feel so much love and so many beautiful things written as comments on our videos on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, that we just want to thank everyone for all these beautiful things that motivate us really to keep going and keep creating. So we are on YouTube as youtube.com/7eyes,
And
and
then we've got all of our original music on Spotify, and that's actually also on YouTube as well. So you can listen to our original content on Spotify, YouTube, and then we're also quite active on Instagram. I would say Instagram is our most used social media platform. We've also got Twitter, but I think we're probably going to delete that because we're just not on it, and we just want to focus on really creating a sort of Seven Eyes community, and that's also really much part of we've got a Patreon page, and so we're really developing a community of people who enjoy our music, and just we want to engage with them one-to-one, and so we've got all these different perks. So we've got a host of different social media platforms, but mainly Patreon, Instagram, and YouTube, I would say.
and the Patreon is for those of the people that would like to listen to our music, but not the music that we actually release openly.
Covers and
So, for instance, now we released a video just yesterday, no? Like to patrons. We have around 50 patrons now.
The
Which
VIP
was
section. Huh.
actually our performance in Nagpur in January. And there was a song, Golala Meri, that we performed with local musicians, and we posted only there. And as we do like every month, once or twice a month, we do on Patreon. If any of you would like to check it out, go to patreon.com/7eyes.
We as the Bombay Jazz Club fully support you folks, and we're among your biggest fans. As we wind up this interview, is there anything that you'd like to share with our audience in parting?
You guys are fantastic. I love you guys, and we were so lucky to go there and play in that beautiful venue in Mumbai,
Bandra Base.
Bandra Base, and we would love to be back there and play again. We are also very grateful for your support on our garden concert. Some of your patrons could support us, so thank you very much for this exchange as well. I would just thank you and congratulate you for the initiative on doing this podcast, and we are very honored to be here and to be invited and talk a bit.
Yeah,
Well-
thank you so much. And exactly what he said.
It's our great pleasure, and the best is yet to come. Thank you so much on behalf of the Bombay Jazz Club and Music for Good. So long.